Ford introduces an aerodynamic tractor with a setback front axle and a 120-inch bumper to back a cab. With the new Aeromax 120, Ford has carved out a new niche for itself in the over-the-road premium diesel trucks market. Ford dealers and fleet customers were invited to the Michigan Proving Ground to get behind the wheel of the Aeromax 120 and its toughest competitors. The Aeromax 120 went toe-to-toe with the competition in a detailed walk-around presentation conducted in one of our test bays at the Ford Research Facility. Ford's tough competitor trucks were the Kenworth T600A, the Freightliner FLD120, and the International 9400. Unlike Ford, all of the other manufacturers started with an existing chassis and cab and added the aero parts. Ford built the Aeromax 120 from the ground up. First up is the Kenworth T600A. Kenworth used the existing W900 chassis and moved the axle back, added a fiberglass hood, plastic bumper and air dam, the side skirts, cab extenders, and rooftop fairing. Kenworth removed the two-piece flat windshield, replacing it with the curved one-piece that you see here, which the Louisville cab has had since its introduction. In fact, on the Louisville cab and the Aeromax 120, that's a larger one-piece curved windshield with the A-pillars arranged for outstanding visibility. Again, to create the T600A, Kenworth streamlined the cab and added the full chassis side skirts. And Kenworth said the T600A is aerodynamically improved. Those changes seem to emphasize the narrowness of their cab. The Kenworth cab is 63 inches inside from door to door. The Aeromax 120 is almost 5 inches wider inside from door to door. And Ford makes good use of that extra spaciousness to give the driver more elbow room and shoulder room, and they make it easier to get in and out of the cab. Kenworth, they offer two sleeper lengths, a 42-inch and a 60-inch. The Aeromax, it offers a 34, a 42, and a 60-inch sleeper. More choice for our customers. The Kenworth sleeper is in aluminum sheets, riveted over a framework. A good method. It's the way the able-bodied Ford sleepers used to be built. A year ago, Ford went to a more advanced design that eliminates the internal frame. Ford also uses a smooth coach joint design, and that eliminates exposed rivets. A word about the materials used in the construction of these vehicles. The hood of the T600A is a spray-up type fiberglass hood. Ford uses a fiberglass made from a pressure-type resin-treated molding process. This method results in a durable hood, Class A surface, and the same quality finish that Ford is noted for on its cars and light trucks. On the back of the fender here, Ford has placed a large turn indicator light so that all overtaking traffic will get a clear idea of what this truck driver's intentions are. We think that's a best-in-class feature. The bumper on the Kenworth is a urethane plastic with metal backing supported by bracing rods. On the Aeromax 120, a steel bumper, which is more functional with no bracing rods to get in the way of a mechanic during servicing. If weight is a consideration, Ford also offers an aluminum bumper. The cab on this Kenworth is aluminum, huck bolted, not riveted, and that's a good method by comparison, since huck bolts have 6 times the clamping force of rivets and are much less likely to shear. But you know what you get with huck bolts? They leave these little impressions around every one of them as they are tightened down. You won't get the smooth finish of the Aeromax 120. The Kenworth T600 cab is 51 inches off the ground. The Aeromax 120 is only 47 inches off the ground. The Aeromax 120 also has grab handles in good positions to help you get in and out of the cab. Also, compare the door openings. The Aeromax 120 is wider. Inside the Kenworth T600, you've got a flat instrument panel, and that was not a favorite among the drivers. The Aeromax 120 has a wraparound instrument panel with Ford's popular 3 o'clock gauges. This Kenworth does have the longest front taper leaf springs at 64 inches in length of any of the trucks here today. This contributes to a good ride, but the Kenworth ride is described as choppy. The Aeromax 120 has 58-inch front springs of a parabolic taper leaf design, which offer some improvements over regular taper leaf springs. Now we move on over to the Freightliner FLD120, and it has what it calls soft rate taper leaf springs, 54.5 inches length. Drivers rated the ride of the Freightliner as very good. They rated the ride of the Aeromax 120 also very good. Ford offers a rear suspension of 34,000 to 46,000 pounds. Freightliner from 36,000 to 40,000 pounds. Freightliner does not offer the popular Hendrickson air ride suspension. Ford does. Do the chin test on these vehicles. It's kind of an unfair for a long-nosed conventional box like this one. Forward visibility is hampered. The others have gone in a different direction with the obvious advantage in forward visibility to the Aeromax 120. Freightliner, they put a larger windshield on this one than they had on the FLC model, but it's still a 2-piece windshield. Drivers said that the center post and the height of the windshield were giving vision problems. They also said that the worst feature of the cab is its small side windows. By contrast, the Aeromax has larger side windows. The right side blind spot noticeably is less. In terms of overall visibility, we think that the Aeromax 120 is outstanding. The cabs of both the Freightliner and the Kenworth have similar construction. Both are riveted aluminum and huck bolted. Also, the Freightliner has the same fit and finish dimple situation. The Aeromax 120 has done away with that problem. The Freightliner has some loose fits in the cab, some door opening and closing problems, and a tendency of the inner door panel to crack over a period of time. The Freightliner developed some rattles in a rather short period of time, and Freightliner does recommend its heavy-duty cab option with a steel floor section for all but on-highway only applications. The Aeromax 120 doesn't need beefing up for the various vocational applications. The Aeromax 120 cab has hydro-mount suspension as standard for the cab. Standard mount on the Freightliner, solid rubber. Although they have an air hydraulic cab suspension option and a wraparound instrument panel. However, it lacks Ford's 3 o'clock gauges. Drivers noted that the tachometer and the speedometer are too low and too close together, so that sometimes vision of those gauges can be obscured by the steering wheel hub or column. Also, drivers rated the pedals on the Aeromax, brake and accelerator, as comfortable, but on the Freightliner, they might be a little too vertical to be comfortable. Freightliner, they offer 2 integral sleepers, which they call sleeper cabs, and 2 separate sleeper bodies in 40 and 60 inches. The separate sleeper boxes are aluminum riveted over a framework as opposed to the smooth coach joint design of the Aeromax 120. Our research groups also picked up on the color-coded wiring as a servicing feature. They preferred that in the Aeromax 120 to Freightliner's numbered wiring system. We turn to the last competitor, the International 9400. International introduced this truck as a 1990 model. It's a streamlined version of the 9300 with a 124-inch bumper-to-back of cab. The 9400s were made in Canada. It has an aluminum riveted cab, first seen on the old TranStar models, and the Benz aluminum riveted sleeper. The L-Series cab and advanced able-bodied sleeper compare well to the Aeromax. The 9400 offers a 42-inch flat top or raised roof, or a 60-inch flat top sleeper. Again, the Aeromax offers a 34, 42, and 60-inch sleeper in either a flat top penthouse or a bullet high-rise sleeper. Also, Ford offers a larger variety of interior trim for the sleeper than the International, and we think that's particularly important to owner-operators. Axles and suspensions are similar between the two, although the 9400 does not offer the 14,600 pound rating for Canada. Both have 58-inch front leaf springs. The cabs on the International has solid rubber mounts for the cab, while on the Aeromax 120, Hydra mount suspension. Again, to dampen out some of the road shocks and noise. Inside the 9400, good visibility from a large 2-piece flat windshield. But once again, a center post and large A-pillars not aligned like they are in the Aeromax 120. A little larger side window on the Aeromax. And International still clings to that high mount windshield wiper, which is not all that good in the snow belt, where it just keeps pushing the snow up to the top and it drops back down. Once again, a flat instrument panel, and drivers noted that some of the switches here are positioned too low for comfort. Drivers did not like the metal pedals on the International 9400, preferring a rubber pad for safety, especially when shoes and boots are wet. And finally, in question, why would you spend all the time and money and research to develop an aero truck and not finish it off with aero headlights? Only one truck does that, the Ford Aeromax 120. I think you'll have to agree, the Aeromax 120 is a strong competitor in a very strong market.